Welcome to Lake Placid, New York, the site of today's BMW IBSF World Cup four-man bobsled competition, the first of the year. We'll have another one tomorrow. Hello, everybody. I'm John Morgan, joined by Alana Myers-Taylor, three-time Olympic medalist for the United States in women's bobsledding. And Alana, great to have you in the booth.
Great to be here and for this race. It's going to be super
6 months
exciting.
pregnant. How you feeling?
Feeling good.
Good, great. You've been down this track, both in the two and the four-man bobsledding, and you know, it's an awesome track. You've had great success, but four-man's a little different monster than the two-person sled.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Four-man will really test these drivers' medals this weekend, and it's really the battle of who's the best driver.
Well, Andre Lange, look at that start record, 490. That's from 2005. That's unbelievable. Could see a start record up there today. Some fantastic athletes, but no mistakes up here, right?
Yeah, pretty clean run. This is John Napier, I believe, who's one of the greatest pilots to drive this track. So if these four-man pilots can follow John's lines, they're going to be in good shape.
Devil's Highway, real challenge. Right here, the exit of this curve, 6 to 8. It sets you up for shady.
And curve 8 can be dangerous in a four-man. I've seen it. I've experienced it. It can be pretty rough.
Down in the Labyrinth Sport, there's going to be some wild, hellacious pictures with these big trucks coming down this track at 85 miles an hour. The chicane here, but a lot of G-forces on the bottom, Alana.
Tons of G-forces, and it's really important that the brakemen stay low and aerodynamic through these bottom sections to really maintain their speed, going uphill into 19 and then finishing around 20.
Look at the record from 2003 to World Championships. Andre Lange, he's walking around with a Chinese jacket on. He's coaching the Chinese program. Lots of Chinese athletes the last couple of years, we've noticed, huh?
They've been really great, and they're going to be the ones to watch for 2022 for sure.
Weather conditions, it's warm. The Adirondacks, we've seen it all. Winter came early about 6 weeks ago. We've had awesome bobsled conditions, but until today's the warmest day, I think, we've seen in about 3 weeks here in Lake Placid, and that's going to affect the type of runners they put on, right?
Yeah, it's definitely going to affect the runners. It's definitely going to affect the start as well. So what's really good is it's going to add a little bit of meltwater to the start, and hopefully we'll see some close to track record times.
Well, the track record is 2005 at the start. The bottom is a 2003 record. There's one of our favorites, Mr. Lochner in the competition. This is Ķibermanis. He was second in this event last year in the World Cup. He was second in the World Championships. Didn't get on the podium last week. Fourth in both events, two-man. And there's many of the red Chinese jackets that are running around the track at the top.
They're really gearing up for those games, so it's going to be exciting. 3 seasons leading into those games and really see who's got what.
Okay, our start list, Jeff. Gadbois from the United States gets to go first. There's a draw procedure. Top four guys in the bottom of the World Cup get to go first in a draw, and then they draw points 5 down to 20 according to your World Cup ranking or your ranking in the IBSF series. And Cody Bascue, Hunter Church from the United States, 14th and 15th. Talked to Hunter about that. He was disappointed, but last week he drew 2 and 4 in the two-man, which is, you know, having fresh ice is a lot easier to work with. Our first athlete's at the top of the track, Jeff Gadbois. He's from a local guy from Vermont, but Chris Avery's from San Diego. Michael Vogt, Alpine, Utah. Dakota Lynch is from Boise.
And Michael Vogt comes from a bobsled pedigree with his brother Chris Vogt being a silver medalist in Hokum sled.
And we saw Chris, he's in the venue, saw him yesterday. Here with Kurt Tomasevich starts. Well, the start time, 5:19. They're driving the Night Train 2 sled that did win the silver medal at the Pyeongchang Olympic Game, or at the Sochi Games, excuse me.
A little skid out of 4. They're going to have to make up some time here to make sure they carry that speed down the track. Coming up curve 8, it's really important to have good cross into curve 9 to set up shady.
14.6 kilometers. Keep your eyes on those numbers.
Coming into the chicanes, want to be straight down here, a little skid as possible. Let's see.
133 kilometers an hour. Wow, that's 82.7 miles an hour. Uphill section here, still no mistakes allowed.
And we'll see how he sets the pace for the race at 55.26.
So that's a second 60 hundredths or so. 69 hundredths, I think, out of the track record. I don't know if we're going to see a track record. Not with that time.
Yeah, I don't know about a track record, but hopefully we get these starts rolling and we'll see what they put together.
Oh, he's the Rapid. 5:19 down. We're going to see, I would think, low 5s, if not We'll get somebody under 5 seconds. How was this? Okay, it's up top. Little mistake, though, huh?
Little mistake coming out of curve 1. You really want to try and avoid mistakes at the top of the track to carry any start speed you have down.
Look at the articulation of the sled coming out of 12. That challenges the sleds, the athletes. Great pictures for television, though.
It's one of those curves that just don't seem long enough for a four-man sled.
Well, we're going to see a lot more of them coming. 20 sleds in the field. Next up, Roman Heinrich from France. Leonel Lefred, Dorian Hautevel, Jerome Laporel. I think Jerome's the guy that came in, and I asked him for his email to send him some bio stuff. His email says Speedy. His nickname is Speedy, so we'll see how fast they are coming out of the block.
And Roman's done a great job with this program. France has done a great job, and after coming off a bronze medal here in the two-man last year, it's going to be exciting to see what they can put together.
12th in this event last year, told me he's just going through trips on four-man. Not as confident in the four-man he is in the two-man. He's building it, and Alana, you know this, he's come far in just a couple years. He's only got 3 years of sliding.
Yeah, the French have really invested in their program, starting with the youth drivers, and they've really been good. He's putting together a pretty solid top here. Let's see what he can carry into the bottom of the track.
That 7-8 combination there. 400s, 114.2 kilometers. That's similar speed to Jeff Gadbois from the U.S.
Really nice 12 there, and hopefully it sets him up well for the chicanes.
Ooh, watch out! That's a big skid there. Those green numbers could be red here in the bottom. 18, 19, that's difficult. Down to 100, so the first of too many to call here. Could be a tie. There it is, our first tie of the day. Won't be the last. But I love ties and bobsled.
Yeah, I do too.
Especially when it deals with medals.
It's going to be closing races all day, folks.
Yeah, on four-man bobsleds, there's not much difference in the top 10 sleds. You could probably see 40, 100 separating 10, 15 sleds. We'll see what's coming up. It's going to unfold right in front of us here. Track looks safe, manageable. Not that hard ice where you can't steer. And these big four-man trucks, they got a mind of their own. It's tough to get them into trouble, but when they get into trouble, they go in their own direction, correct?
You're definitely not getting out of it, and not here in Placid either.
This is 14. Benham's Bend, named after the Olympic silver medalist from Lake Placid in the 52 games. And boy, that's not what you want to see in a four-man skidding like that.
No, and he's trying to adjust, trying to move his runner tips, but it's just not going.
Okay, the first of a couple Chinese sleds, Yin Yan. These athletes have come so far, so fast.
And it's really been incredible, whether it's Pierre Luters or Andre Lange, both legendary bobsledders have been coaching them, and, you know, not speaking a lot of Mandarin, so coaching these athletes and translating and getting them in the front lines, it's been amazing. 5:15, the same start as the French. Let's see what they can do with the top section.
He did not drive in the two-man last week. They got 4 or 5 drivers here. He was the pilot sled in last week's competitions for all, for the women and the men's, and they got 4 drivers here. They got 6 with the women.
Ooh, little rough transition. That's going to cost him some time.
Look at the speed. Look at this. He's 10/100s up. 2 experienced sliders. Of course, he had the best start.
Coming into also important 14. Let's see what he can put together.
900s, lost a little bit back. That's the best speed we've seen. 82 and a change miles an hour. He's losing a little time back. This will be the leader. Single digits. 6, lost a little time back. Look at this. China has just beat a U.S. and French sled.
They're really investing in their program, and it's going to be exciting to watch how they progress.
Of course, they got Luters, who won the Olympic gold medal in '98. They got Lange, who won 4 gold medals in 2002, 6, and 10. Those are the top 2 coaches.
They are not playing around.
Those 2 coaches, and how much equipment knowledge do they bring to the table? Runners. Ooh, this is a little rough there. That's up in the Devil's Highway. And here, is there any way to get through here clean, Alana?
It's very difficult. You have to be on curve 12 right on time and make your steer at exactly the right moment, or else there's no chance.
Well, 3 down, 17 to go. The Chinese are in the lead.
It's great
I have a hard time bringing that to my bobsled vocabulary, but it's real. Markus Treichl, Markus Gluck, Sebastian Maier, Christian Huber from Boy, a bad week last week for Markus Treichl. Outside the top 20 in both races.
Well, that's the great thing about having this four-man race. It's a whole new ball game. Everybody starts from scratch, and this is the first World Cup race of the season.
509, best start by a lot. Now, Markus says he was nursing a foot injury, and that hampered his starts in the two-man. He said he's going to have better starts in the four-man. Well, this is any indication there. He's correct, because his starts were way off in the two-man, and that cost him his placing.
Yeah, but you couldn't tell anything there. He's definitely made the most of his start and had a pretty clean top so far. So let's see if he can hold his speed.
114.3. That's not the same speed as the Chinese sled. That was 114.7.
But a really nice curve 12, and hopefully
700s. He's got the third best speed. He's going to bleed back time. This is going to be another one too close to call. Oh, but he's pulling away. Look at that. Didn't see a perfect line there, but look at that. He got it to 700s. Hey, good bottom half.
Yeah, good bottom half, and that really clean exit out of 12 really helped his speed going into the bottom half of the track.
That coach on the right, Wolfgang Stomper, he knows how to go fast, right?
Oh.
He knew how to go. He always had the best equipment, the best runners. Didn't have a great start, but boy, he always found a way to manufacture speed like Markus Treichl just did in the bottom.
And that's what it's all about. It's having the best equipment in addition to top drivers and top push times. The equipment really makes a difference.
Well, where do you want to be in this? You want to be in this? Is this a good line to exit shade? Ooh, it got high there, huh?
A little high on the exit there. You definitely want to come through the letters of Lake Placid and carry your speed. If you do shady right, it feels kind of like a roller coaster and it really shoots you out.
Slingshot.
Slingshot effect.
Out of the bottom. Markus Treichl's the leader. 4 down. Austrians are happy. Back to the top. Dominik Dvořák, Dominik Succi, Jan Sindelar, Jakub Nosek. This is a very good start team, but I think Dominik Dvořák just doesn't have a good relationship with this track.
It's a hard track to get along with. It takes a lot of runs and a lot of experience because it's a doozy.
13th and 16th last week in the two-mans for a guy who gets some of the best starts.
He's really coming along with his driving, and I expect to see over the next couple of years, the more runs he gets.
5:02.
Better.
That tells me we're going to be seeing some starts in the 90s right there.
Ooh, a little rough time and
Too late.
a little high on the exit there, but he's recovering nicely. Coming out down through this section of the track, 4, 5, 6. It's really important to build your speed, especially in a four-man going into the more difficult corners like 8 and 12.
Okay, not the best speed. He's got a 1200s lead. Ooh, watch out late here.
Oh,
Boy, nice landing, nice exit there.
he cleaned it up nicely.
9. Best speed there, though.
One of the better lines we've seen in the chicanes as well.
18, 19. This is tricky right here. 600s. Lose it a little bit back. Look how close this race is. 600s. He's the leader. The top 4 sleds that have come. We've got a tie for 4th. Heinrich and Jeff Gadbois. The top 4 sleds have come down. The top 5 sleds are separated by 1900s.
Such close racing, and you know, as an athlete, you always think about what could have made the difference in those hundredths of a second.
You go back to the drawing board, but that. How do you deal with hundreds of seconds? You know, that's all you've dealt with for the last decade.
You know it's racing, and you know when people are putting good lines together, that's what it's all about. It's about fighting for those extra hundreds.
And consistency.
Tons of consistency. And this was one of the better lines we actually saw in the chicanes. Not perfect yet, but not only one tap through there.
I didn't like seeing a number 2 helmet. You shouldn't see any helmets back there in that shot. So every time you look at that chicane, look at the helmets. You shouldn't see anybody's helmet but the driver back there. Okay, Korean, Jung Yeon-hwan. Well, look, here's our leaders, Dvořák, Treichl, Jin from China's in 3rd. And here comes our Olympic silver medalist.
And I actually started driving at the same time as Juan, so to see his progression personally has been really awesome to follow.
This is like his home track. This is where he started, right?
Yeah, here in Park City, right in North America with the rest of us.
8th and 6th in last weekend's two-man races. He was 6th overall in the World Cup. 6th in this race last year in the four-man.
He's looking to improve his finish from last year and really start off the season well.
7th at the World Championships. Only had a 6th place best finish last year. Looks like the Korean program sort of dropped off a little bit. Really low there, Alana.
Yeah, not really generating the speed you want, and we'll see that coming out of 12, what the speed numbers look like going into the chicanes.
Pretty good aerodynamics.
Pretty good line through the chicanes as well.
Speed, not the best. 6th top speed there. So he's going to probably be in a third spot? Third, 7th. But he's only 100th out of 2nd, right behind Treichl. So Dvořák and Treichl to beat Yuan, that's an accomplishment.
Definitely, and Yuan will go back to the drawing board and figure out where he can clean up some time and really try to make some adjustments for the next run.
Yeah, second best start, considerably off Dvořák. 600s back at Dvořák. And hey, 600s at the top is 1800s at the bottom. Little tap there in exit of 3, that's the norm, but he gets over the wrong side of the 4. Boy, this Devil's Highway is tricky. Huh? Look, he got up high there.
That rough transition from 6 to 7 can really cause some problems in a 4-man.
Well, I say the 2-man's a sports car, the 4-man's a truck, a sport utility.
But the 4-man is by far the funnest sled to drive.
There you go. So we got a first real top sled coming down. Oskars Ķibermanis, Kaufmans, Wilcox, and Minkins. These 4 athletes, silver medal in this track last year.
For such a small country, it's always so impressive how fast these athletes are and how many great athletes they continue to find to put behind the sled.
Start should be 5 seconds.
5:02.
Speed, watch the speed down to 56.3. Keep your eyes on that because you could have the best start, but you might not have the best speed as you go on the first curve. That's related to how you get in the sled, sit down on that first pressure point.
We're really looking forward to a clean 6-7 so he can set up a really nice 8, and it's pretty good. Trying to build that speed going through shady.
Huge speed. No one's had numbers like this.
And here comes the tricky spot. And no problem for Ķibermanis.
Look at the helmets. Can you see anybody back there? A little bounce, but that was because they hit the wall a little bit. Well, he's got the speed records. The first speed merchant down the track. The guy who was silver medal sets the pace with the blistering time, 54.72. Still 1 second 5 off the Sanders Prusis. Those 2 guys, Johannes, those 2 guys won the first ever race on this track, the Goodwill Games here in 2000. Yeah, Sanders Prusis did.
They're great coaches, they're great athletes, and the one thing I love about the Latvians, along many, is they've always been so willing to help out other countries. So there's a great team, and it's great to see them doing well.
Well, that's the persona of the sport too, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody helps each other. Get in, get down with cat-like movements. Practice, 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 dry land. Choreography on ice, I call 4-man bobsled start.
It's one of the most beautiful things in sport. A little late off this exit of 8, creates a little bit too much cross into 9, but he recovers nicely throughout the rest of the track.
He's a leader by a lot. But next up is this team from Canada, Justin Kripps, Ryan Summers from Calgary, Cameron Stone's also from Calgary, he's a rugby player. Ben Koch, well, he's originally from Regina. They won this event last year, and they're looking to do it again.
Kripps is a great driver, and with a little bit of turnover on his crew, it's really going to be good to see what he can put together here.
3rd in both events in the 2-man. So the Olympic gold medalist in 2-man bobsled is off and running with a good start. Little drift there.
A 5:02 start, very similar to some of the other teams we've seen here. That'll give him the speed he needs to contend with the top teams.
Well, he had the same start as Ķibermanis. He's got 200s up. Now, he's been on the track a lot. Month of October, November, he was down here for North America's Cup, won a couple races. 116.6 speed is the top speed by a lot.
No problem, the exit 12, really nice exit, and should set him up well for the chicanes.
Hard hit there, 8. Whoa, that's still the best speed. No one's had speed like this. So Justin Kripps, he is going to be the leader. Question is, can he get it out to 1500s?
And even with that line through the chicane,
17.
He's still picked up speed. So.
54.55. Canadian Justin Kripps sets the pace. Good start. But again, he's been down here for about a month. There's been no sliding in the Calgary track. That's closed. The Whistler track they didn't slide on. This has been their home track, which this was the Canadian home track in the 60s, 70s, 80s until they built the Calgary facility.
It's been really great for the U.S. and Canada to have these two tracks. And in North America,
is that late?
It's a little late. Going to come over early to 12. But he manages it really nicely and is able to get on 13 nicely. Well,
he's got the speed marks all the way down the track. This was a little bit of rough hit, and still hard to believe that he had that time that he did with that hit.
He had so much time going into there. Those little mistakes won't cost him much.
Well, our first of 3 German sleds. Johannes Lochner, Florian Bauer, Christian Weber, Christian Rasp.
Johannes really did a great job coming out of German selections and winning those races in Altenburg. Came back, dropped 2-man races, but came back in the 4-man and was able to make the German team.
Won one of the 2 races last weekend, got second in the other, and they have the start time that is 5 flat, the best in the competition. So 2-star 200s, he should be 500-600s up at the next clock. With all things being equal. Not. So he made some mistakes. He's already lost his start advantage.
But he's having a good middle section of the track, so we'll see if he can catch Kripps on the way down.
Speed, nowhere near Kripps' speed. 500's back, that's going to be 10-12 at the next clock.
Ooh, little trouble off of 12. Took a good hit. We'll see what it looks like in chicanes.
Nice, 2/10 back. He had the 8th best speed there. He had the 7th best speed in the exit of Shady. So now the question is, can he stay in the top 5? The top 3.
Going in these uphill sections, it can be hard to build speed.
3,800s back, that's perplexing for the German coaches. That's not what they want to see. Look at him shake his head. No speed into Shady. That was an easy prediction when you see the lesser. He had 2 kilometers less speed than the Canadian sled.
And you got to wonder, did he make the right equipment changes for the weather today? Was he predicting faster ice? All these things come into play.
Smooth here, but a lot of too smooth. I mean, Kripps was rough there.
Smooth here, but having a little rough time at the exit, driving a little bit too hard off the exit and taking that hit.
That was 12, then 13, 14, and then this is pretty good. Good aerodynamic profile with the team.
One of the best lines we've seen in the chicane so far.
Johannes, good weekend last weekend. Not so happy here. Well, now another German sled. Some guy named Francesco Friedrich, Candy Bauer, Martin Gothkop, and Alexander Schuler is in place of Thorsten Margus.
Alexander had a great 2-man race last week, pushing with Friedrich. It's been really impressive to see how Friedrich pushes the top times in the world, regardless of who's behind him.
Look at that setup. Look at the 498 start. Watch the velocity. They had the best speed on the exit of 1. Means they all got in correctly. Now he's got 4. He should make this to 6/800ths lead at the next clock.
When you've got start speed like that, it's really hard to catch down the
12.
track.
So he's on line. Now then he should have the top speed in the exit of Shady. Ooh, I didn't like that exit. It's down to 9. No speed, 114.7. He's got about the 4th best speed.
He's really going to have a clean bottom of the track. 12 was nice.
Red numbers already.
So far.
Germans did not make good selections on the runners, or they just got outdriven by the Latvians and Canadians. But he's fighting for the top 2 maybe, or the 2nd or 3rd spot. Quick 3rd, 2100s back. There you go. Equipment
runners could be a case, but also Justin Kripps has a lot of runs on these tracks, and he's one of the best pilots in the world. So you can't underestimate the strength of Justin Kripps as a pilot as well.
Start was awesome, but neither German sled had the speeds into Shady. This is down at the bottom part of the track. That looked into the, top of the track for entrance into Shady. Look at the aerodynamic profile. Can't see much wrong there. Here's 14 though.
Come down the track. It'll be
Had a little bit of trouble in the chicanes, a skid, which definitely cost him some time going into those uphill sections of the track.
But again, no speed into the exit of Shady for both German sleds compared to the Canadian and Latvian sleds. Sepp Dosteller. Well, we've had 10 down. Justin Kripps from Canada, Ķibermanis from Latvia, Friedrichs in third. 10 more bobsleds to come. So John Morgan and Ilana Myers-Taylor bringing you the action here in the first FIB or IBSF World Cup bobsled event of the season. Now we got Michael Vogt, this good young Swiss pilot who's made some improvements.
Yeah, the Swiss are really stepping up their game as far as their program. They've traditionally been a bobsled powerhouse, so we'd like to see them reemerge.
Vogt is from Wengen. He's got a gymnast and track and field background, but his brakeman, Geiger's a javelin thrower. You know, a lot of track and field, a lot of field events out of track and field. The German team's full of these shot putters and javelin throwers.
A lot of track and field, but not many gymnasts.
Start time, 8th best start. So if he can drive himself into a top 6 with that 8th best start, that's cool.
A little high on the exit of Shady there. It's going to be really hard to get that slingshot effect out of there.
Speed is pedestrian. So, well, now take that back. That was an improvement from the Shady speed, 3rd best speed. So he's bringing it back to 6th, maybe top 5. Showing some good lines here in the bottom. 5th. Hey, so anytime you start with the 8th best start and you can drive it into 5th, you're happy, right?
Yeah, anytime you can make up on that start speed, you're at a deficit there. It means you're doing something right down the track.
And the Swiss have always had great pieces of equipment. And there's a little bit of runner knowledge in that country that gets passed down from generation to generation.
Such an amazing bobsled history and pedigree in the Swiss program. It's great to see them again.
Vogt, he's got about 3 years of driving in him. Swiss are pretty high on him. Aerodynamic profile, we see a little, not bad.
Took 2 taps, but not too bad going into curve 17.
Good speed in the bottom. So the first of some Russians, the veteran Maxim Adrianov. Steely eyes looking down this ice canal. Let's see what the Russians can do here. He's got some pretty good experience on the back of his sled.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they can put together now. I know they're in a rebuilding phase since 2014 and then 2018, so let's see what they got. 5:09.
The Russians have 4 gold medals in World Cup bobsledding on this track since it opened in 2000, all by Zubkov.
Late in the 4, we're going to see how he's able to make up time to 5 and 6.
2200s, keeps that less than 30. Got a chance for top 5. And the speed, 115 clicks, 114.5, 2080. He's doing pretty good.
Not a bad line at all.
Hasn't bled any time back.
Took that hit out of 12 though. Might cost him some time. 7th
best speed, 4400s back. So between Shady and the chicane, he lost a lot. Now he's fighting for top 7, 8. Boy, that was a rough on the take on to 19. Whoa, 29th. Wow. You know, when you start with the 7th best start time and you finish 9th, not good. I mean, we just saw the Swiss 8th best start, 6th best finish. So if you're going to have a deficient start, you want to find a way to get to the bottom. And Adrianov has been on this track a number of times.
But when you have guys making it out of 12 cleanly and having really good exits there, it's really important. And here's a look at 11-12 right now, that you come out of there and not take that hit, because it's really going to slow your speed down going into the rest of the track.
3rd in this event last year. So this is a very disappointing run for the Russians, who had a pretty good day yesterday. They swept the men's and women's skeleton competitions, but it doesn't look like they're going to see a medal today at a 4-man bobsled.
That's the great thing about 4-man and bobsleds. You never know what can happen. It's 2 runs.
Monaco, our next athletes up. Rudy Rinaldi, Boris van Thibaut de Marton. This team here You know, he's got a love-hate relationship. I think he likes the two-man better than the four-man.
He was so close to a medal here last year in the four-man, but had that devastating crash. And let's see what he's able to put together today.
Stefan Borgs is the brakeman. There was exciting racing here last year. The French won the silver medal. They were the leaders at the end of the first heat, the two-man, and then Rinaldi was right there and a chance to win a medal and had that crash. Let's see what this young Monegasque can do.
He's coming off a foot injury, and now actually to help him with that, he's making his own bobsled spikes. So it's been really cool to see how innovative these athletes can be in order to accelerate their recovery.
Fourth place finish in St. Moritz was his best ever last year on tour. World Championships did not compete in the four-man.
Not a bad exit out of 12, so hopefully he can carry that speed into the rest of the track. 4,400's
back, 12th best speed. He's gonna fight to stay in the top. Looks like this is 9th, 10th, maybe. 53, 12th best speed. Man, runner choice shouldn't be this far off with the history he had on this track last year. 9th. There's Bruno Mangeon. 9th best time at the start, 9th best time at the finish.
He's not going to be happy with that run, though. I've seen Rudy drive this track, and he knows he can drive it better, so he's going to see what he can put together in run 2. He's slow to get out of the sled, though. Got to wonder if that foot's still bothering him.
Yeah, that foot has been bothering him for a couple years. That was a little late there and still not control. You see the runner tips still adjusting to get on the take on to 4, the white face curve.
It's definitely trying to adjust all the way down the track to make up for those little mistakes. A little late off of 8, but he recovers nicely.
Second American sled coming up. Here's Hunter Church of the United States. Joshua Williamson, he's from Lake Mary, Florida. James Reed, believe it or not, is from Garmisch, Germany. Kyle Wilcox is from Tampa, Florida. Hunter, local guy, Katyville. 5th place, both two-man events last weekend. Start's going to be important. So anything 5:05, 5:06 going to give these guys a chance. 5:06, okay, game on. Let's see this velocity. 5th best speed. Little drift there though.
Little hit out of 1. We'll
Can't
see
do
if
that, right?
him.
Yeah, that's so he's going to be 6, probably down to 12, 1500s of the next clock with that skid. But he knows the track. There's 18. Lost more than I thought. But boy, he had some great speeds in the two-man. Alana, you must have been impressed with what he did in the two-man.
Very impressed. Hunter started here as a junior bobsledder, so he knows this track better than most people in the world.
Speed not bad.
Little rough exit off of 12.
Fight 7th, 6th, speed, 5th best speed, big skid, 3300ths. This could be a top 4.
That skid's going to make it rough to carry enough speed into these uphill curves.
Through the finish line, and Hunter is in 5th, 4400ths off the pace. There's the coaches, the veteran Scheimer on the right, who's been around the program a long time.
And this is a new team. You know, this is their first time pushing together, first race in a four-man for them all year, as is everyone else in the field. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to build throughout the season.
Have you driven that sled?
I have not driven that sled, but I've driven a couple of the U.S. sleds. Haven't had the privilege of driving the Night Train 2. That might be in the future, though.
Good. Well, I think you got to have that baby first, right?
Yeah. Maybe the baby will drive it.
Whoa. I'm sure the Nick Taylor's listening on. Nick, you can pass judgment on that. Good lines. I mean, the aerodynamic profile's great.
A little trouble in those chicanes, and that always makes it hard to have speed into the uphill sections.
Another American sled next up. Cody Bascue from Whitehall. Blaine McConnell from Tacoma, Washington. Adrian Adams from Reedsville. And Christopher Horn from Pembroke, Massachusetts. Cody's been nursing hamstring problems. Same thing. These guys got to get a 5:05, 5:06 to compete. 5:06. Speed. Look at the speed, the velocity. Oh, the 12th best velocity.
12th best velocity, they're not going to be happy with
Now,
that.
6th best start to the velocity. That means somebody entered the sled, took away the momentum. He just hit there twice. Probably going to be 20. Oh, it's only 1,300s down. That's a good sign.
Cody also started driving this track as a junior bobsledder, so he knows the track well. If anyone could find speed, he's one of them.
Only 1,700s back. Good speed. 115.2. That's almost a kilometer better than his teammate. Clean lines.
And look how low he sits in the sled. Very low aerodynamic profile for Cody.
3,200s back. Pretty much like his teammate. 7th best speed there. Late though. 18.19. 3,800s back. This is top 6. It's going to be him or Hunter Church. Hunter's ahead. Right there, in between them is Michael Vogt. Mike Kahn on the left, the head coach. They look on. 2 sleds now for the U.S. 5th, 7th. Look how close it is. 6,800 separating about 5 sleds in that mix. Yeah, their mistake was in the load because their speed, 6th best start, 12th best speed around that first curve. Something happened when they entered the sled. But he did pretty good. He should have been down more than that.
That start speed is ever so important. Look at him articulate a little bit into 17, but not a bad line, but a really rough transition from 18.
Late there, though, a little airtime.
Yeah.
Well, nooks and crannies of this track. There's Andre Lang on the right. All he has is 4 golds and a couple silvers in his career. Now he's coaching China. Here's the leaders: Kripps, Ķibermanis, Friedrich, Lochner, Church. Benny Maier, Marco Rangel, Marco Sommer, Ian Moldovan.
Benny Maier, who's also expecting a child in about a week.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. 5:03, great start time for the Austrians. They'll be happy with that.
Very unhappy with his 2-man last weekend. He said, my 2-man, everybody's beating me. I can't find speed in it. But, you know, one thing I noticed about him, he is very involved in his equipment. He's like a little bit of a throwback, Alana. He pays, you know, he rebuilds his own equipment and works a lot with Stompler on it.
He's a very diligent pilot, works very hard with equipment, but also studies these tracks and these lines quite a bit.
1000s at the shady part, but had the 7th best speed. Falling off. 5th best speed here, 21 back. Could get in the top 5 if he finds the speedy line here on the bottom part of this Olympic Sports Complex track in Lake Placid. Through, right here's the finish line, bang, 4th. So there's an accomplished pilot showing you some good eyes and hands. Wolfgang Stompler, Gerhard Rayner. They like that run from the, you can't say young pilot anymore. He used to be the 20-year-old out on tour, and now he's about to become a father.
No major mistakes by Benny there. He's going to be happy with that run.
Well, good start, good consistent drive, good equipment. Again, he's a throwback. I really think he's one of the best guys in the field for understanding his equipment.
Oh, definitely, and it's great to see Austria have that kind of talent at the top.
Little funny 7-8 combination here. Boy, look how low he is. Good. Boy, he's one of the lowest guys with the eyes above the cowling we've seen.
And that is so important. The biggest aerodynamic drag on a sled is actually the pilot's helmet. So the lower that pilot can be, the faster they're going to be down the hill.
Another sled from Korea coming up. Young Suk. These guys are all veterans, and we've seen him out here a number of years on tour, and you know, we really thought the Koreans were going to launch their program. They had a soft year last year after winning that Olympic silver medal.
Had a little difficulty in the past with some coaching changes, but now it seems like their program might be starting to come together again with the new coaching assignments. 5:18 start, 16th best start time, but 3rd best start speed.
That's strange.
That's definitely helped them carry speed into the top of the track. A little bit down right now. Let's see if they can make up some time using that start speed.
Good lines. Again, the Koreans launched their program in 2009 here at driver school. Was that when you went to school?
One of the years I was there, driving with them.
They spent a lot of time on the Lake Placid and Park City tracks. Look at these lines, 13th best speed. Oh, that chicane is tricky. So is 18-19. uphill section. You can't make any mistakes here. You glide into the finish of this gravity sport in 17th out of 17. 20 sleds in the race. All 20 will make the second run.
17th down at the bottom, but 13th fastest speed. That just goes to show you that start time, the time he lost at the beginning, having an efficient start really made a difference down the track.
Watch his hoodie here at the start. You tell me you're getting a little cue from the TV truck. Look at the hoodies here. Is that aerodynamic? See that little flying around? You think that makes a difference?
Any piece of material, anything caught in the wind is definitely going to slow that sled down.
Those guys in our TV truck don't miss anything. They're experienced bobsled people. That guy in the EVS, Bogo. Look at the skid there. Okay, 17 out of 17, not happy, but he's learning. Maybe you want to tuck that hood in next time. Some more Chinese athletes. Yunjin Chao is our pilot. Now, there's a father-son up there. Hans on the left, Fabian on the right. They're the sled mechanics from Switzerland. Those two guys are mercenaries. They've been with the Russians, the Koreans, and now they're with the Chinese. Really good with the equipment. Pierre Luders was smart to hire on those two to take care of the equipment. Not that Luders and Andre Lange don't know a lot about the equipment, but they don't spend the time in the garage like those two guys. But it just also shows China has gone to no expense to bring the best in the world into their program.
Right, and China has spent every single spring here in Lake Placid getting those runs and developing those pilots.
Start wasn't that bad.
7, 8, not bad at all. Really looking to carry that speed in the shady, a little low, which made him a little bit higher in the exit.
Whoa. Look at the articulation, the cowling. You see that sled split a little bit. That gets a lot of air in there. You don't want to do that. 4900's back. Whoa, late. Gets away with it. 6100's back. This is 15th or 16th. Losing a lot of time on the bottom. 17th, so lost time all the way down. But again, we're talking about China.
It's so exciting to see teams from all over the world competing in this sport.
We were saying that, about Korea 6-8 years ago. And the irony is we don't see any more Japanese sleds. And the Japanese sleds were a tradition in the sport forever.
That just goes to show you how big of a difference it can make when you have a track open in your home country. Chinese opening Beijing later this year. It's made a big difference in the development of their program.
Our colleague Tony Carlino just came back from China last night. He just got off the plane. He was exchanging what he's just saw there. He's on the track commission. He says it's awesome what they've got. They got a Kreisel in the track. You like Kreisels?
Love Kreisels. The original Lake Placid track, believe it or not, the plans had a Kreisel, but they got taken out in order to develop the Hart.
Well, I got a little mixed relationships with those Kreisels. Here comes our next athlete, Alexey Stulnev. He's a veteran pilot, been around. Didn't slide last year, didn't see him. So when he came in for the headshot shoot, hey, Alexey, where were you? And of course, the language barrier, I couldn't find out why he took a year off. The sponsor they have in the sled, this is one of those betting shops. And you see every place that we've got here in FanDuel and everything else in our country. But I was asking questions about that. Start, not bad. Start velocity, the speed, third. He's done good on this track before.
We're seeing a lot of these sleds in the lower bottom half of the order really come with the start speed.
Well, one thing is to start the first 50 meters, then it is to get in the sled, don't hold it back, sit down with cat-like movements, and have your driver get around that first curve and take care of all that gravity that's offered you.
And he was only 1900s down at the last split. He's really looking to carry that speed and that time into these bottom halves.
Bang.
Lost a little there.
Fifth best speed. He's driving himself into the top 10. He's very experienced in Sochi. Pyeongchang, I don't think he got to Pyeongchang, but he's been driving for 10 years. 12th, 6200's back. So the Russian bobsledders can't match what the Russian skeleton team did yesterday, and Treichl won the gold, followed up, the double gold by the women's skeleton, or with the men and women's skeleton yesterday. Pretty impressive. That Nicotina, did you see her start times yesterday?
Oh, her start times are
ridiculous.
Crazy.
She's on another planet. She won the race going away by a second. She won a skeleton race, 2-heat skeleton race by over a second.
When you have that much advantage at the start, it really helps you be able to go down the track, and if you have clean runs, you're hard to beat.
Well, here's the Russian teams through and down there. 12th, and Alexey, the veteran pilot. Okay, we have another German team. Christoph Hofer, David Going, Christian Hammers, and Tobias Schneider. This is like the junior world champion team, been in the Olympic or the Worlds a couple times because they win the junior Worlds. And they got a lot of work to do in the next 10 days when the Germans go back and have their championships in Altenburg. Friedrich is the only driver qualified.
Well, they have such a competitive team on the German side, men and women. They're very deep, and you're battling day in and day out to hold your spot on this World Cup level.
Yeah, there's like 6 teams are going to be battling for the 2 spots in the 2-man and the 4-man. Again, Friedrich's already qualified for that World Championships coming up in Altenburg in late February next year.
And with limited runs on this track, he's driving pretty well.
He's a tall athlete. Late right there.
Not a bad exit
Boy,
at 12,
12 looks very, very tame today. 4700s back.
Clean through the chicanes, though. That's going to help him carry some speed in the bottom portion of the track.
14th best speed. He's going to be 16, 17 spot. Of course, he's going late. There's not a lot of speed left in the track. Last guy down, 12. That's not bad. You know, he was all the way up to 15th place in near the chicane. He drove himself into the 12th spot.
Tied for 12th with Rudy Rinaldi and Alexey Stulnev, so I think he's going to be happy with these runs. Like I said, he does have limited time on this track, and he's going to be looking forward to that next run and another race tomorrow.
Look at the runner tips. Boy, he steered hard off that curve 3. Look at the runner tips there. Corrected, but you know, you don't want to steer that much up there if you don't have to. Good lines here. His eyes barely above the cowling. Clear visor. What type of visor you wear?
Clear visor.
Clear visor. You don't wear goggles like Kaylee?
No goggles. I've tried goggles before. Actually wore goggles in my first World Championship win, but started hitting my nose on the sled.
Well, Justin Kripps done well on this track for a month. Won the North America's Cup races here. Showing the fact that he won the race last year was no fluke. So the guy, the international man of mystery, because he owns 3 passports. Well, he's sliding for Canada here today. Also got an American passport. You didn't know that?
Oh, I knew that.
And Australian. So he's top of the leaderboard. He's familiar with being here. He won the race last year. So Kripps, Ķibermanis, Friedrich, normal cast of characters. Good run for Benny Maier. Johannes Lochner not so happy. The Americans, Church and Bascue in 6th and 8th, not too bad. Dominik Dvořák, pretty good run for him in 9th. Treichl, top 10 for him. He's going to be excited about that compared to his 2-man results. Surprise Yuan is back in 11th place. The rest of the field, all 20 sleds we'll see in the second run. 20th to 1st will go. It's getting warmer here. It's not raining. Lake Placid, 1980, 1932. A lot of history on this track. So my TV crew, good pictures, a lot of Maier's Taylor. Thanks for being here in the first run. We'll get you for the second run. I'm John Morgan. See you in about 40 minutes.